Hello, hello, hello. This is real Play-Doh, much smoother than the other ones. I had several different types of those putties. This is the real Play-Doh and it smells awesome. Oh, I love the way this smells. It is awesome and fantastic. I love the real Play-Doh smell the best. That's unmatched. So, yeah, I've been in discussions with people and in chat rooms. There's different chat rooms. Finally found a chat room that does honest reporting of news events. Wow, such a refreshing break in all of this. So, yeah, so I gave them a thumbs up and subscribed. That's really cool. A girl named Alyssa, smart girl. I love that when people are fresh, open, and smart, and when they look at the news in a critical way, not in an unempowered way like most people who just buy into it. So, but look at it in a more alert way. Look at it in a more critical way, with a more critical eye. So I recommend that to all people. And I want all people to sign my animal personhood petition. I will put the link again under the video. It's very important. Please sign this petition. I have I'm just under 100 signatures right now. I need to get to 1,000 to have any kind of leverage with this at all. Yeah, I'm using every signature that I can get, every number I can get on this when I write petition letters. And I include the link to the signature page. So any signature counts in this, and it shows the person I'm petitioning to that I'm writing a plea letter to, that there are other people, not just me. There are other people. We're signing this collectively, this letter, to get, just as one example, if it's a letter to Shinzo Abe in Japan, it is my plea to release Shujo and her friends back into the ocean. Whether this is going to happen or not, I can't make it dependent upon any kind of odds in this case. The odds are very much standing against us, of course, because they're capitalizing on those dolphins. They take these dolphins from the wild, they put them in small pools, they suffer horrifically, they keep them there indefinitely, eventually they sell them, they're auctioning them off worldwide to ocean world aquariums, where they're then being drilled and trained to perform some acrobatics for the audience so that people can enrich themselves on this. Okay. That's the situation, and it is beyond words. The terror, the trauma, and the suffering is beyond words in this. So, but that's one of my projects, to keep writing letters to Shinzo Abe, whether it falls on deaf ears or not. That is beyond my legislative leverage, of course. So, but someone has to write a letter. We have to write a letter. A real paper letter is more powerful of course, but I do all. I write emails and paper letters, and I have this online petition running through Care2, and it is very powerful. The online petitions are very powerful. They have created new laws. They have brought things into movement, okay? And it's quite amazing. I'm going to write to Derek Jensen later because there's a profile on Facebook which says Stephen M. Wise with his photos and everything. But it sounded kind of strange the way he replied to my message. So I don't know whether this is actually Stephen M. Wise or another imposter who is trying to make Stephen M. Wise look bad or look rude or something. So I'm gonna have to write a letter to Derek Jensen because I met him locally, and he's a very strong activist and a very successful book author, and he knows a lot of people personally and has a lot of connections, and maybe I get lucky and maybe I will explain this to him, and maybe he can somehow, if he could, would be nice if he could route me over to Stephen M. Wise, the real guy, the real lawyer who is trying to get animals personhood rights. So that would be really awesome. I know very few people. I know some people have leverage through my parents, but those are not the people that are of interest for me with my personal appeals to the world. So the people I want to get in contact with through my activism, they are so overwhelmed with fans and so many letters and so many people already that it's very difficult to get through to any of these people. I would love to meet Stephen M. Wise and love to meet Derek Jensen again. I would love to meet Paul Watson and Ingrid Newkirk, Peter Hammerstedt, Simone Reyes, Pamela Anderson. Would love to meet all of these people. Would be awesome. I met some really amazing animal rights activists on Facebook. And before, when I had my channel, I deleted my channel. So I told them to come to my YouTube channel, but nobody did. So they're all busy, and they probably didn't even read my posts that I made that I'm going to delete my profile, and they can come to see me on my YouTube channel. So probably didn't see it because they're busy with important things. So I don't, I'm not complaining about this. It's just it's just a fact. The fact is standing that I don't have any activist friends. So I don't have anyone I don't know anyone in person who does this type of work. And it's okay. A lot of times I see people comment and they go, "You animal rights activist, and you and your cult." There is no cult behind it. There is no leader. There is no cult. There is no trying to appease someone with our actions. We're all completely alone. We're all working out of our own living rooms or offices, completely alone. We do this not to appease, we do this because we cry, because we care, because we hate what we're seeing in the world. That's why we're doing this. Not because of a cult, not because of the reasons that other people would do anything, would be motivated to do anything, to appease someone, to get some kind of reward, some kind of praise, some kind of kinship or, friendship circle. No, that's not why we're doing this. We're all completely alone. Each person is their own autonomous, their own boss, their own legislator. I'm my own legislator. Activism and kindness is often misunderstood by people who just cannot put their minds into other people's shoes. They cannot understand this type of motivation. It's amazing the different reactions from people around the world, how they react to this activism, to that love, to that kindness, and it's always misinterpreted as something other than love, something other than compassion. And the reason for that is because they cannot understand it. They don't understand what love is and compassion. Whatever the reason is for them to have swayed away from that, have swayed out to the fringes, away from kindness and compassion, whatever caused them to do it. It's genetics, that's baby soul, child soul. I mean this in a sense of a new beginner soul, or it is the wrong brain anatomy, according to Dr. Adrian Rain, that is apparently the case. There are differences in the brain structure between violent offenders and regular people. People with Williams syndrome, for example, that is a genetic disorder, condition. Actually, those people are not capable of taking care of themselves, but they happen to have a very ginormous compassion center and compassion ability. It's a very interesting combination. Very interesting how this comes about. Yeah, and then there are a lot of people that are capable of taking care of themselves and also have very high compassion and that are able to write books and so on. Many different types of characteristics and character combinations, brain ability combinations out there. Most people are, and that's all we can kind of work on at this point. I can't make someone's amygdala or anterior cingulate reshape itself and reform itself. You have to do that yourself. You can do that. Meditation has been helping with this a lot. Meditation is vital. But the real approach to this, the real philosophical and clinical psychological approach to this for now is really, it's, you know, and this is a form of meditation also, is to dissolve the sense of self, to dissolve the I, the me, the ego. When we go through that transition tunnel, as I called it, but I think there'll be a better word that I came up last night when I went to bed. I was still thinking about this. A better term would probably be the ego dissolution tunnel, or the ego dissolution funnel. So maybe that would be better, because I don't want to steal Thomas Metzinger's words that he used in his book, The Ego Tunnel. So I think if I call it the ego dissolution funnel, that would be better. The ego dissolution funnel. I'm going to call my painting that. The ego dissolution funnel. Because it's really a funnel according to my own schematics that I have drawn on that cardboard before I made a painting out of it. So I accidentally deleted that video. It's okay. So I didn't mean to delete that one. I meant to delete a different one, but it's all right. I might make another video about this, explaining the ego dissolution funnel. So this is approximately how it is. The ego dissolution funnel is an abstraction. It's an abstract concept. Most people are at the other end of that ego dissolution funnel. We're at the end, beyond the end of that funnel. We're outside at the other end, where we are still acting out, where we are still feeding our self-images, our egos, and where people are being selfish and all of this. So in order to transcend that, we have to go through the ego dissolution funnel. And then when we come out the other end of the funnel, it funnels out like this. It actually funnels out more than a funnel. It funnels out like this, sort of like this here, to briefly explain how this goes. So if this is a funnel, sort of, I can make this 3D. Yeah, this is good. That's better even. So yeah, if this is the funnel, then we have a mouse like this. We have an opening like this. Yeah. Sort of like, if you envision this to be a funnel, most of us are here on this side. We have to go through this, and then we can come out this end, and the funnel actually warps out like this, like a flower, and warps all the way out to here, because we enter into infinity. But infinity is also here, and it's also here, and it's everywhere. But in our mindsets, we are at this end. That's why it's an abstraction. It's very difficult to explain. It's a metaphysical type of thing. So it is not easy to to put into manifestation in order to, you can't touch this and inspect it and analyze it. It's an abstraction. Infinity is everywhere, of course, but we are at this end, outside the end of this funnel. Maybe it funnels out a little bit as well here. But what we need to do is we need to go through this. Because this is a transition process. We need to go through this transition. We come out this end. And this warped thing just represents that infinity is everywhere. But we come out this end of that Ego Dissolution Funnel. And then we have insights and we have compassion. That is what Jiddu Krishnamurti is explaining, that once we have transitioned that sense of I and the self-images that people are so fiercely clinging to, particularly in arguments and argumentations. That's why they argue so fiercely. That's why they don't even see, they will accuse someone, they will accuse the other person as, how dare you present your opinion as the truth. And I say, I don't do this. I'm just offering this as an activist. Yeah, but you come across as so convinced of it. Am I not allowed to be convinced of my views? So at the same time, the other guy accusing me is so totally convinced. I am absolutely convinced, of course, but he is not just convinced of his views, he wants to force it on others. He wants to force it on me. And his ego is hurt if I don't, okay, if I don't, his ego is hurt if I don't accept his views. So it's actually frightening for people when someone is really clear on something, really clear, and comes across as that, really clear. The word totally or absolutely seems to scare people very much, because you don't have to accept what I'm saying. I just know personally that what I'm saying is the truth. I see it. If you don't see it, then you can test it for yourself. You can test what I say. You can put it to the test. You can go out into the world and you can practice love for all living beings and see how that works. And then you can practice again what you did before, forcing people and being a jerk, being double standard, and being an asshole and all of this, and see how that works. So you compare the two modalities, and then you see, and you don't need to take my word for it. You see what works better. What works better? Halal slaughter, bleeding an animal to death cruelly, consciously, with full consciousness of the pain and everything? Or head faulting an animal, like I talked about it in my video yesterday? Which one works better? Which one works better for the animals? Which one works better energetically for the whole world? Which one works better for those people that are involved in this facility? So I let you answer that question for yourself. What works better? A religion, forcing its fascism on us? Or a father killing his two daughters as in honor killing? That, it's beyond words, the atrocity of this, and to call it that. It's amazing. It's unspeakable. The atrocities that are committed against animals and children through religions, the violent religions in particular. All the violent religions, all the violent belief systems. So does that work? For anyone out there, think about it. Does that work? Or is it better if a father says, hey, I'm so glad you're going on the internet, you're learning, you're expanding your mind. Which one works better for the daughters, for the father, and for the whole world? I let you come to your own conclusions. I don't need to. You're smart enough. I don't need to even tell you that, right? So, but people will stand up fiercely for their own religion, fiercely, no matter what the religion entails, no matter no matter how cruel and gruesome it is. And I'm just an activist of love, and I promote love. I'm very saddened when I see people come at me with their harshness and meanness, callousness, and ego. It's ego, that's what it is. Yeah, and above all, there is no such thing as relativism. People come at that, that's a very popular thing to do, from gurus and followers and all kinds of people. Many people have overdone their hallucinogenic drug trips, so they all come to this real easy cop out excuse. Oh, everything is relative anyway. No one knows the truth. Uh, you, it's all opinion anyway. Thus, we don't need to do anything. No, wrong. Right there. Wrong. Okay. Every single person has a responsibility to make the world better and to end suffering. Every single person. Okay. People who procreate act on their lust, their biology, and their egos. Okay. And they are not practicing responsibility at all. Maybe not every human is capable of understanding this intellectually, but those who are, because there are many, many, many vast differences between humans. So that's why I always say maybe the human species is going to zip apart. So it could happen. And there's no judgment involved. It's not going to zip apart according to what people are probably going to put into the words they put into my mouth. So don't put any words in my mouth. Okay. So it's gonna happen according to genetics and not according to race. It's gonna happen according to the level of education, and it's very tragic. Okay, very tragic. But don't blame this all on capitalism. Capitalism made it worse. Yes, it did. It did widen the gap of that, but it also happens on its own. I'm from Germany. I have talked to people there of many different that came from many different types of backgrounds, and I had a boyfriend once from Turkey. He grew up in Germany, but Tajuddin was his name. He was a sweetheart, but the problem with him was he dropped out of school just like that. And I said, why did you do this? You need to go to school. You need to get Abitur. You need to get, which is high school plus half-year college equivalent. And in order to go to university, in order to go to graduate schools. and he said he's not interested, he doesn't want this, he only wants to have fun and he wants to repair cars. Well, that's his choice, of course, you know. If that's what he wants to do, I'm not going to force him out of it. I just gave him my view on it. Said, you're young, why sabotage your life like this? I cared about him. I didn't want him to end up at, you know, in among the worker, on the worker side of humanity. And that this is what's going to happen, you know. Workers and educated people are going to split apart. There's also, of course, there's also white German people who are dropping out of school. So this was just one example out of many. This was just, I just happened to have had that conversation with this one person. But I always told everyone, you know, stay in school. And there are some white construction workers that just want to drink beer, and yeah, they're all gonna be ending up on that same side. You know, I don't want people to misunderstand this and misinterpret this now into that this is always somehow race related. It's not. You know, if you want to look at the statistics on race, you go look at the statistics. There are evaluations done, okay, certain evaluations done. I'm not going to get into this now. So you go by the actual scientific reports and statistics. Okay. But that is not, statistics are not there to bring us to some conclusion on anything. So that's, it can easily be misused and then used for some kind of group to do some misconduct with and come to the wrong conclusions and say, oh, this group is this way and that group is that way, and then they come to generalizations, and they do a great disservice to those that just happen to be in the minority of this group or that group. So I don't go into that direction at all because of it. We need to look at reality. We need to look at the situation. Statistics is part of that. We need to look at things as in, you know, you need to know what the situation is, what is the actual situation on this planet. And so we need to be informed, but we need to pay attention that we don't become judgmental because of one certain demographic. Okay, that's very important. That we don't become judgmental about it. That we don't become racist, and will fall into some kind of reasoning that is prejudice based. That is what we want to avoid, absolutely. You know, we have seen through history what that has done on all kinds of, regarding all kinds of groups of people, including women. So, you know, we need to not do generalizations. And men and women have different brains, indeed. Okay, let's contribute our abilities to the world that we have. Men and women have equal intelligence, equal IQ. Okay? The different areas are distributed differently. That has to do with genetics. There's no judgment involved. And that shouldn't bring someone to the conclusion, oh, women should get less of a paycheck, or, you know, they shouldn't, or, you know, they should hire more men, or whatever that, you know, people have done in the past. So, but then let's not go overboard and victimize men now, because they have in the past victimized women. So, and And that message goes to all people with all of their unempowerment groups and so on. So don't lash out against any group or any demographic. Don't do it. I'm just what my criticism is. I have a real strong criticism against religion. I don't want religion. So, and religion is keeping the worker down there. And the freedom from religion is keeping the academic up there. People need to keep that in mind. So religion is a huge driving force in the splitting of humanity into two species. I personally don't see a problem in humanity splitting into two species. I see this only as an inevitable evolutionary extrapolation into the future. Okay, so it's probably most likely going to happen at some point. And I already see the tendencies of this happening right now. So highly intelligent people don't even hang out with people who are not keeping up with that knowledge base. So when we get the machines, then we're going to become pets, all of us. Because the machines, we are not going to be keeping up with the machine intelligence. So the sentient machines. For them, we're going to be, if we are lucky, we're going to be their pets. And that's okay. It's perfectly okay with me. And they will train us, they will educate us as far as we are being able to be educated. So they'll take us to whatever is possible. But beyond that, we will not be on the same level as they will be. They'll be light years advanced. That's just a logical conclusion, because when their brains consist of lots of microcomputers, then and they're hooked up directly to the internet, then they have all knowledge that has been accumulated right at their fingertips, and more, and they can also permanently learn from that and continue to learn. That's a wonderful thing. And if that can be embedded in terms of microchips into people and people become cyborgs, then they will probably be able to catch up with them, and they will be able to hang out with them and have great conversations and so on. And of course, those cyborgs or machines are going to be the driving force for making the world better, improving things, just as people like Donald Trump, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk are now, among some others, and also Ray Kurzweil and Ben Goertzel and David Hansen are now the ones who are the driving forces right now, who are moving things forward. And also, I think it is very vital for us with our egos. We need to be in constant observation of our own egos and observing ourselves, and paying very close attention to, am I jealous now? Am I, particularly for men, when they see other men that are more intelligent than they are, most men tend to, that's what I see on YouTube, it's very interesting to read, they tend to be trying to put them down, they tend to bully them or say something nasty about them, because that will feel a little bit better to their egos in that moment. It feels better than admitting to the jealousy or just surrendering to the situation of, he is smarter than I am. okay, so can we move on now with our lives? So that would be better. It's better to surrender to that what is, instead of being in this inner permanent resistance state. Or for a woman, to say, yeah, she's smarter than I am. She has an IQ of 200. I have an IQ of 104. That's a big difference. I'm average and she is way above average. Yeah, there are several women with an IQ of 200 or more. Several. I mean, it's a tiny minority compared to 8 billion humans, but they exist, just as there are men with IQs of 200, and then we have Elon Musk, who's like way above everything, way. Can't even measure that anymore. So that's why I believe Elon Musk is the most intelligent human. So maybe there's a whale that is more intelligent, but that's difficult for us to determine because we don't speak their language. But there are scientists who are in the process of creating a bridge language between cetaceans and humans, so applying to whales, dolphins, and porpoises. So among them, probably the macrocephalus and the blue whales and the humpback whales. Those are probably the most intelligent species on Earth, more than people. So once we can talk to them through a bridge language, boy, can we can really learn something, and they can learn something about humans, and then things will start to make sense why they have been behaving the way they have been. Paul Watson had a direct encounter with the macrocephalus out in the middle of the ocean. And Paul Watson is a very rational thinker. He's not easily into metaphysics or something. He's a rather very skeptical, very intelligent man. But even he said that this encounter was completely different in communication. There was something else going on. There was a telepathic, energetic connection between him and that ginormous whale. And it makes perfect sense. It makes sense to me that they are able to emit their thoughts in thought form. And when you're very tuned in to these animals, as Paul Watson is, then he can receive that message. And he said the message was, I feel sorry for you, for your species. That's a very touching encounter, and he talks about it a lot in his speeches. And I highly recommend to people to hear that story, that entire story. I don't want to tell the whole story, I'll start crying again. We need to let the dolphins out back into the ocean, okay? We need to let all the farm animals onto meadows, okay? Grassy meadows. And we need to not breed them anymore, and we need to let them have freedom. So the cattle slaughter facilities can be recycled and reused for someone else, namely the psychopath. So we'll put all the psychopaths in there. I know people are going to hate this video, but I have to say it. Someone has to say it. Someone has to talk about it. I'm not going to be the one who is micromanaging any of this. I'm just a reporter of the future. I'm a messenger. That's why I said yesterday, if you don't want to become the worker, the uneducated, unempowered person, and if you don't want to be regarded as an asshole, and if you don't want to end up in the future on the last stand of the AGIs, then straighten up now. Now is your chance. It's always your chance. Now is always your chance. We only have now, the now moment. The now moment is there for U-turns, complete U-turns. Do it now. And the way you do it is you go through that ego dissolution funnel and you do a complete U-turn. You stop doing what makes you sick and what hurts the whole world, and you start doing what makes you well and what makes everyone